All right. I'm going to wait till I get to 5 seconds and go. So, what if you could wake up one day as the legend, as the superhero, or as your idol? What if one day you woke up and you looked in the mirror and you saw the person that you admire the most or want to be the most looking back at you? Of course, at first you'd probably wipe your eyes and be like, oh, I'm dreaming or something like that. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about that. We're actually talking about how you can actually become that person. So, how would you feel, act, or think if you could pick an identity, if you could pick a persona and become that person? How would you feel? How would you act? How would you think? So, what if you could become all that you desired, the person you wanted to be, and watch that unfold before you in the mirror? Well, in order to have the things you want in life and to match up with the experiences that fulfill your soul, you have to become the person that matches those things. You can't just come into this world and ask and beg and want, desire and plead and think that life is going to just hand that to you on a silver platter. So today we're going to talk about, by the end of today's video, you will know the 5 ways you can choose another identity, another persona, and begin living that life of your dreams. So I want to, first of all, those of you who are watching afterwards, warn you that this is real. Okay? Becoming someone else will change your life. This is not something to play with. If you really go all the way in, things will shift. Relationships will die out. Your life will change. You will become someone else. And that means all of the things that match the person you want to become will become yours automatically. This is not something to play with. So, this is for Apex humans only. This will change your life. Do not pick someone that you admire, but also judge and fear and hate, because you will become the person that you judge, fear, and hate if you admire them as well and want to be them. So this is something you need to take your time. And by the way, if you like, share. If you like and subscribe, don't share those people, because this is. I'm going to be straight with you guys. Sometimes I feel bad about the fact that I'm really caustic and I cut people bad and I tell them they're not worthy to be here. And I realize that that's a part of my personality. I am very direct, and this is who I really am. A lot of people see me as a very nice, very sweet-hearted, very kind person. Anybody who knows me in reality, knows me to be that way. They also see this little like serpentine part that steps out, of this feline part that comes out every once in a while, and that's okay. They can get with that, because I have a lot of nice sides of myself that people think are very friendly and soft, which they are. But I'm going to be honest with you. What you're going to learn in this video will change your life. It'll impact you, and you will see results. So do not go into this half-hearted, half-baked, because I can tell you from my own experience, if you do decide to become someone else, there are consequences to that. By the end of this video, we're going to talk about those consequences. But listen to the multiple steps. We're going to say hi to the folks in the chat shortly and quickly. You're going to say, oh, Jesus, bro, how are you? I am doing well, Jesus. I'm so glad to see the Lord in our chat room. And then Jeremiah Pascual, hello, welcome. Make sure you... Okay, so let's get right into it. Let me talk about this. Let me give you a little bit of an introduction. Like I said, this is a warning. This is only for Apex humans. Only for you if you really want to be that legend. That when you look in the mirror, you're like, hell, heavens, yes. I'm getting away from hell, yes. Heavens, yes. This is the person I admire. This is the person I look up to. You can be that, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Lots and lots of people in the Bible did it. Jacob went to Israel. Saul became Paul. Abram became Abraham, the father of many nations. Sarai became Sarah. Okay? Yeshua ben Yosef, if anybody knows who that is, drop it in the comments below. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeshua ben Yosef. Who was that? Let me know, and I'll tell you by the end of this video. He became the most important person in the Bible of all time. Yeshua ben Yosef. That is a Jewish name, actually, a Judean name that means Joshua, the son of Joseph. We'll put it that way. We'll kind of trick you guys a little bit. Any of you scholars, let me know in the comments below. He's the most important figure in the Bible. And if you know who that is, let me know. I will give you a shout out. All right. But there's some people in regular modern history who have done this. So there's Muhammad Ali. He originally was named Cassius Clay. If you know Muhammad Ali, he originally was named Cassius Clay. He changed his name to Muhammad Ali. And he became one of the greatest fighters of all time. Notice there's a big shift that happens for these people. All right. There's a person that you might recognize by the name of Rolilala Mandela. He became Nelson Mandela. A lot of people probably wouldn't have been able to pronounce Rolilala. So it's good that he changed his name. Ayn Rand, or Ayn Rand, if you know of her. Her original name was Alyssa Rosenbaum. She was a Russian Jew who became one of the greatest writers of history. One of my favorite philosophers. She wrote Atlas Shrugged, if you're into that, if you're an older person like myself. And then Reginald Dwight. Have you heard of him? Reginald Dwight Elton John. So his original name was Reginald Dwight. I'm glad he changed his name to Elton John. And then any of you guys who watch Fast and Furious series, do you know a Mark Sinclair? If you know who Mark Sinclair is, let me know in the chat below. Mark Sinclair, that is Vin Diesel. His original name was Mark Sinclair. So, and also my great dear hero, Tashunke Widko, for those of you who are like deep in it, or Chano Chan, his name is Crazy Horse, if you know American history. So he was one of the greatest fighters of all time from the Lakota, the Oglala Sioux, and both tribes. He's associated, I think, more with the Lakota, but he was undefeated. He went into battle, and the Great Spirit, God, the Most High God, told him, "You will not be harmed by any bullet." People would shoot at him; they would do all kinds of things to try to kill him, and he was never harmed. So Tashumke Wilka, at the end of his life, he was taken out, unfortunately. But Tashumke Wilka, one of my great heroes, I met him in ceremony multiple times. Again, he is disembodied. He is an ancestor. He is not in physical form anymore. But I deeply admire and love him dearly. So all of these historical figures are examples of when you change your name is your personality. Your name decides who you are. If you're a John or a Bob or a Mary or a Smith, your energy is kind of diffuse. So it's good to probably change your name at some point if you want to take on another personality. But you have to go through a whole legal process, but doesn't matter. Just call yourself something else and you'll see that everything around you will change. Let's see if someone... what happens when you die? Well, we're going to talk about that in this video. That's actually the second step to changing and becoming the greatest person you could ever imagine yourself to be. So stay tuned, and I will tell you what happens when you die. By the way, we all die daily. There's a clue. That's our second step to becoming a legend. You have to die. So changing your names, and again, this is only for Apex humans. If you hear that and you think of harming yourself, get out of the chat, get out of the video, unsubscribe, stop watching. This is not for you. Death is not what we think, but death is a important part of the upgrading yourself to a legend. Again, we'll go into that. So again, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Death is a real thing, but it has other applications. All right, so changing your name is one way to die. Really, the old version of you dies away, and you become a new personality. Names carry a vibration; they carry an energy. And when you change your name, or when you take on your divine name, as Abraham did, as Yeshua ben Yosef did, we'll talk about that. Sarai did when she became Sarah, as Saul did when he became Paul. He met Christ in the road; he became Paul. As Jacob did when his name was changed to Israel. You will see a significant change in your life. You will get on your path. You will have your mission. You will become the legend God made you to be. I'm talking about the real God, not the sky phantom fairy that they talk about in church. So if you're thinking of that, and that's okay, you're welcome to be here. But we're talking about the real God, the Most High, not the satanic God that runs this world. Okay. So anyway, in 2010, I had a series of powerful personality shifts. God shattered my old personality. It wasn't even my personality, but it was a personality that I carried for 20 years. God shattered that in one day. And it was a 7-year process of basically waking back up. That shifted my reality and thereafter became my true self. My real name came back to me, all of that stuff. And that's kind of where I am now. So I've done this. I've been through this, and I have gone through all the ups and downs of that process. Personality is fluid. Who you are is not real. Like, who you are is fake. It's all made up. You don't actually exist. You actually don't exist. And I hate to break it to you, But the person you see in the mirror is a collection of cells that responds to a certain frequency of sound. Bob, that's the frequency of sound. And you can tell that that frequency of sound is identifying you. But that's made up. It's not real. It's all fake. You can choose your personality. Personality is fluid, it's flexible, it's a choice that you make every day by your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, and your expectations. So, you've changed your personality. If you're old enough to be watching this, you've changed your personality multiple times. There was a time you were a 2-year-old, whatever your name is, right? When you were a 5-year-old, whatever your name is. When you were a 12-year-old, whatever your name is. If you're 12 and watching this is deep stuff. Just understand that this is kind of adult stuff, but I'm not using profanities or whatever. But anyway, as you go through the life cycle, you become an adult and all that stuff, you become someone greater than what you were before. And by truth, and I'm going to speak to you guys extremely honestly here, objectively here, this cannot be denied. This is absolute truth if you're on this level. 7 years ago, the version of you that you see in the mirror today did not exist. Literally. Literally. Unless you're one of those weirdos that has like a personality that never changes. We call those people robots. But like, if you're a normal human being, the person that you see in the mirror is not the person that existed 7 years ago, if you're older than 7 years. If you're 14 years old, the person you see in the mirror is not the person that existed 10 years ago. Why? Because every single cell in your body changes. And there's some internal cells that don't change as quickly. It takes them longer to change, but you don't see those in the mirror. So I'm not talking about those cells. But your skin replaces itself every so many months or whatever weeks. Like everything that you think is real and solid is not real, is not solid. Again, this is for apex humans only. So get out of here if this bothers you, please. And I'm glad. I'm seeing people come and go, come and go. Drop a like before you go, though. Help me out. Help yourself out. All right. But personality is fluid. It's not real. It's something you make up. And you have to reinforce it. Every single day that you wake up, you wake up and you have to recreate yourself. You have to say, oh, I'm this person. Using Bob or Sally. I'm Sally from, Sheboygan, Michigan, or whatever. Sheboygan. Anyway, I'm Sally from Dearborn, Michigan. And my parents are Bob and Janice. And I live in, the year is 20. You have to make all that stuff up in your brain every single time you come back here. So you've done this before. You've changed your personality before, from child to teenager to woman to adult, from child to adult. Okay, so you're doing it now, and why not do it again? Why not pick a personality that's filled with power and presence and confidence and clarity? Why not pick a personality that matters? You can do that. Anyone who's told you that you're a loser and that's who you are and you'll be that way forever, okay, but you don't have to believe what they're saying. And you can prove them wrong. And you can prove God right because God tells you that you're not that. So there are some cons to changing your personality. The cons are you lose friends. People that knew you as who you were, they will say, I don't know you anymore. I don't know who you are anymore. And they're going to cry and they're not going to like it. Because, maybe your friends were losers. Maybe your friends were like people that, I don't know, smoked pot all day and played video games and had no purpose in life. They have a purpose. They're just not choosing it. And so when you decide, I'm going to get on my grind, I'm going to learn cello and I'm going to become a virtuoso, or I'm going to work on my body. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to eat great food and I'm going to love myself. And your friends are just eating donuts all the time and hating themselves. Well, guess what? All those friends that eat donuts all the time and hate themselves, they can't be your friends anymore by definition. They are not birds of a feather. They don't fly with you. They don't flock with you. They're not your people anymore. So you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. You're going to lose lovers. You're going to lose jobs. You're going to lose lifestyles. This will hurt. This will hurt. Now, if you're really on your grind, it won't hurt you that much, but it is going to hurt. Okay. When you go from being a little tiny tot, a cute little baby, to being an adult, you're going to lose teeth. You're going to have growing pains. It's part of life. Pain is part of life. It's not pleasant. It is what it is. Life is beautiful. Life is wonderful. But pain's a part of it. So if the goal and the win of being this exceptional hero, legend that you look in the mirror, this beautiful, amazing legend, when you look in the mirror and you like that person, if it's worth the paper cuts that you feel along the way, well, okay, let's do it. Now, there's some pros, and I'll talk about those. There are many things that you can achieve when you become who you want to be. When you become the person that you admire, when you become your hero, when you become that legend, there are so many things you can do. So many things you can do. It's the sky is just your launching pad. The sky is your launching pad. Okay. All right. God comes first. Remember that. God always comes first. That is kindergarten. We're on the doctoral level of Christianity. Thank you, though. You're right. All right. And thanks for the love. But so listen, you are unstoppable when you become, it's like when you say, I'm afraid of water. The personality I am now is afraid of water. I'm afraid of swimming. I'm afraid of the ocean. You say, you know what? I am going to become that great surfer that surfs the waves of Waikiki Beach and all over the world, whatever. I'm not a surfer, so I don't know. I hope I didn't mess it up for you surfers out there. And then you say, well, I have to become the surfer. And so what do? You start to embed yourself with that identity. Every single day you wake up, I'm more of that surfer. Until one day you look in the mirror, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years down the line, you look in the mirror and say, oh, wait, I'm the person that I drew. I'm the person I believed in. I'm the person that I wanted to be. Wow. So let's cover the 5 steps that you can take now, today, to become the one you admire and let go of the person that is standing in the way of your dreams. You don't want to see this person in the mirror anymore. You want to see the winner, the legend. All right. All right. Let's see. So OFT seems like you're still in high school on this, brother. Why did God turn water into wine? That's a good question, and I can use it. So thank you for the question. I appreciate it. That's so turning water into wine is actually an esoteric form of sorcery. That is changing. Water represents our emotions. Water represents the inner self, the psychological state. And so Christ turned something from, water, which is pretty, it doesn't do much, right? It keeps you alive, but water doesn't do anything. Into wine, which changes your personality, which can burst wine bags and things like wine represents blood, life. In the Bible, it is the representation of God's anointing, really. Okay? And so when Jesus changed water into wine, he took a base level consciousness, a basic mind, and turned it into the mind of Christ. That's what it's an allegory. He could have theoretically changed water into wine with magic or with some sort of sorcery. Totally is possible. But I'm not leaning on that. I'm leaning more on the esoteric allegorical application. Okay? Which means that he took a basic form of psyche, the lead, like lead in your pencil or lead in paint, and turned it into gold. Turned water into wine. Okay? So that's what that is a reference to. So turning water into wine, why did God do that? It's an allegory. It's talking about how you can shift your mind, which takes us to our first powerful step to become the person you admire. The first step is to mind shift. The Bible says in Philippians 2, verses 5 through 11, take on the mind of Christ. Well, what does that mean? Take on the mind of Christ. Philippians 2, 5 through 11 says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Let's read that again. Being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal to God. Thought it not robbery to be equal to God, but made himself of no reputation, and took on him the form of a servant, a human, and was made in the likeness of men. So he was turned into a gummy worm, basically, a meat puppet, a human. And then found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross, which is our next step. But shifting your mind means putting on something that is your next step, taking it to the next level, allowing yourself to transcend the gummy worm mentality, the mentality of, oh, I'm a loser and I'm not going to make it and everything is so hard and I can't do it. That is the water. Christ turns that water into the wine of, I am equal and greater than any challenge that comes my way. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All things through, I can do all things through Christ. Mark 11:22 through 26. Have faith in God. Whatever you say out of your mouth, believe it in your heart, and it is done unto you. Whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe you receive them, you shall have them. That is the mind of Christ. Mind of Christ. So that takes us into our next one. And then OFT says, when you die, it is this pitch black? Let's see. When he died on the cross, did he is okay. Your English here is okay. It's okay. When he died on the cross, perhaps that's the way I'm reading it. When he, this is OFT saying it. When he died on the cross, did he is the one who broke the place, like cracked it. I think you're referring to when Christ died on the cross and the veil in the temple was rent. Again, an allegorical statement. The Rosicrucians were big in writing the Bible. So the veil in the temple, what is the temple? It's your body. What is the veil? It is the part of the brain that doesn't allow you to see the actual reality of things. It is the psychological indoctrination of society. So when Jesus overcame death, meaning he died to who he was before, like I'm saying in this video, he broke the veil that prevents people from seeing reality as it really is. He broke through illusion. That's what it means. So he tore the veil in the temple. There was a curtain that stood between the most holy and the holy place, the holy of holies, I think, and the basically the outer portion of the temple where everybody came to mingle and do sacrifices. There was this giant curtain in between. It was ripped open. It was ripped when Christ died on the cross. And so that was a symbol of him breaking down illusion, breaking the veil open, opening our eyes. Okay? So yes, when he died, he did that. Okay, OFT says, when you die, is it this pitch black? Okay, I think I understand what you're asking there. When you die, does it go pitch black? For those who are gummy worms, I would assume it does, but it goes pitch black when you go to sleep, bro. Sister, I'm sorry, I couldn't see your feet picture that well. But it goes pitch black for everybody all the time. Close your eyes like this. There's pitch black. Don't worry about the pitch black. This world is darker than darkness. So, I mean, like, you can see stuff. So, I wouldn't worry about that. But thank you for the question because it takes us to our next step. This is how you become the legend. So, you see a legend in the mirror. You must die to your former self. In the Bible, Paul says, in the New Testament, Paul says, I die daily. He says this in relation to his relationship with Christ. The word he uses is apothnesko. Apothnesko. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Apothnesko. And this word actually appears 111 times in the Bible. The Rosicrucians were a big part of bringing the Bible from the ancient cultures, the pagan cultures, into our culture. And so they use this term, apothnesko, 11 times, 111 times. The number 111, 11, is an angel number. And it is the number of new beginnings, of individuality, of identity. I die daily. Apothnesko. It means I release myself from who I was before. The book of Judges and book of Joshua. The book of Joshua says, stop praising and worshiping the gods of your fathers. Those gods are dead. I do a new thing. It says in Jeremiah 33, verse 3, 333. All right, I do a new thing. Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. Forget about the things of the past. So this is saying we're starting anew. We're dying daily. We're letting go of who we were. And so to become that legend that you want to be, where you can see yourself in the mirror as that amazing person that you really look up to, I'm sorry to say it, but your old self must die. The old self must go away. The old self must be dissolved. Apothnesko, which means I am on this call. Okay. So death is a form of release. That is a letting go. It is a separation and a divine closure. That's what the word. I'm going to do this. Be part of me. I will reach back out to that person. Pardon me on that, guys. All right. So that is the second thing. You must die to your former self. You must let go of any aspect of your personality, any aspect of who you are that does not match who you want to be and where you want to go in life. Okay. Death is release, death is letting go, separation, and divine closure. Throughout the Bible, that is what death actually represents. Now, we die daily, like Paul says, in relation to who we are in the past. And in your relationship with Christ, you take on Christ. You actually put Christ on. And you become Christ, Christed, christened, anointed with the blood of Christ. Okay. Number 3, in order to become the legend that you want to be, you have to see that legend in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you can no longer see the poor schlep, the loser, the sad person, the broken person, the victim, the complainer. You can't see that person anymore. The person who never makes it, the broke person. You cannot see that person anymore. And again, it's not going to be an immediate thing. Some people it is. Some people have powerful spiritual experiences that breaks that veil, like Christ did, and then you start to see this amazing, powerful, unstoppable person all automatically. But for most of us, it's a process. And so we can learn of it here in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 12. It's in Corinthians. Corinthians. There's only one Corinthians. It's First Chronicles. First Corinthians, yeah. This is First Corinthians. Let me check on that. I put First Corinthians there. I don't think there's a Second Corinthians, y'all. I should know this. I used to know memorize so much of the Bible. That just seems wrong. Anyway, Corinthians 13, verse 12 says, "For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known." And I like to think that this verse actually refers to seeing Christ in the mirror. When we see Christ face to face, now it's actually saying that before we saw in a glass darkly. So when you see in a glass darkly, there's a shadowy, opaque image of yourself. But what Paul is saying here is that, but someday I will see him and know Christ, even as I know myself. And to me, that means that he sees Christ in the mirror. Now, it's not necessarily saying that, but that's the way I'm interpreting it. Take it the way that you want to. But to see this powerful version of you, this next step, you have to see them in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror and see, even if it's the slightest part of yourself changing to them, you have to see that change occur. Paul was formerly Saul. And look at the great change that took place. He met Christ in the road and he had a 180-degree shift. Initially, he was killing Christians, imprisoning them, and now he became the one who wrote the entire Christian religion and most of the New Testament after his meeting with Christ. He was Saul when he was killing, torturing, and maiming Christians and putting them in jail because he was a Christian hunter. But then he became Paul when he had the encounter with Christ. It speaks to putting on Christ. He actually put on Christ. So it's a beautiful thing. All right. So see, yep. Someone's saying that they give up who you used to be and embrace who you are now. All right. So who you are in Christ. Also in Galatians 3, verse 27, it says, "For as many as you as have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ." Okay, so many of those who have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ. You've put on Christ. You become Christ. You've allowed Christ to be who you are. As Christians, we're not actually part of a religion, like especially us Apex Christians. We're not part of a religion. We're all part of a group of people. We all meet together and we all talk about gossip and all the BS in the world, bad spirituality, bad science. Instead, as Christians, we are actually representatives of Christ. We're emissaries of the kingdom. We are ambassadors of heaven. Okay, and so we are here representing the creator of the universe. We're not representing a sky phantom fairy tale bearded man that floats in the ethers who zaps people for doing bad, naughty things. We're not representing that. That's Satan. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. If you're that kind of Christian, go away. It's not for you. We represent the creator of the universe. And so we have been anointed by the Christ, the anointing, which means to be chosen. We are chosen. And it doesn't mean we're better than anybody. That just means we have a bigger responsibility here. Okay? We have more people that we are here to impact and improve and uplift and encourage and support and to show the light of God, the love of God. That's what we're here to do. And we don't do that by just our words. I saw a wonderful quote of Francis Assisi that says, "It is imperative to preach the gospel into all the world, all the time, and sometimes use your words." Preaching the gospel is how you live, how you express yourself, how you show up in the world. Okay? It's not saying, I'm a Christian, want to join our club. No, it is how you live, how you show up in the world. Okay? All right. And then the fourth step, getting into it, and this is a practical step, practice. with strangers. When you become this person, you've gone through the process of mind shifting, taking on the mind of Christ. And when I say taking on the mind of Christ, let's say you want to become a fireman somewhere. Let's make it easy. Taking on the mind of Christ means trusting that you can become that fireman and understanding the responsibility associated with that, saving lives, putting your life at risk and in danger. But that also means being intelligent and all of these things. So mind shifting means you're getting rid of who you were before mentally. You stop thinking the thoughts of the person who's not a fireman. You stop believing the beliefs of a person who's not a fireman. You start to take on the courage of a fireman. All right. And then you die to who you were before. Letting go of that old mind means dying to who you were before. That means you don't see that person anymore. I'm sorry, non-fireman person, you get to die today. You get to leave my personality, okay? And so that means a releasing of that who you used to be, releasing that person. Hey, look, you can go away. Bye bye. And let's use another example. Let's say you want to be the hottest little model in the world, a cute girl, pretty, not cute, but pretty hot girl of the world, right? And maybe you're like 20 pounds overweight. You're like your face is not so symmetrical, okay? Well, you've got to get rid of the idea that you are not her. You got to say to yourself, you know what, I am her, and then allow yourself to become her. And if you're young, your face can restructure itself. If you're older, you can there's with God all things are possible. You can do all things through Christ. Don't ever let anybody trick you into not believing it. Look up the models that don't have the most symmetrical faces. You'll find some of these supermodels were queens of the earth. You know, they went and they did amazing things. So don't ever think that, oh well, I'm not the one. Okay. Don't ever think that. With God, all things are possible. Okay. And so you see your hero in the mirror, you start to see that you are someone else in the mirror, even if it's little baby steps. Okay, now we're number 4. I had to review those again. There are 4 practical. So this is the 4th step, which is the practical step. 4 is the number of practicality, the number of boundaries, the number of borders and barriers and order. Okay, so this is the 4th step. Practice with strangers. Practice with strangers. Yeah, South Dakota. Yeah. So practice with strangers. And this is the beautiful thing about practicing with strangers. Find out who you want to be. Let's use another example. Just drop in the chat who you want to be. Maybe I can use one of your examples. I'm not going to run out of them because I got a million. I got a trillion examples in my head. Let's say you want to become a footballer, okay? And, you know, it's going to be cheesy and corny, but you can do this for a little minute until you really embody this. But you walk around in a footballer's jersey and wear those helmets, those silly little helmets they wear, okay? You can do that. I mean, it's silly. Don't find another way. Embody it in your spirit. Don't do that. You're gonna look like a little like you a couple crayons short of a full box. But I'm saying like a motorcycle rider. You don't have a motorcycle, well, go get a motorcycle helmet and walk around with that. Go into restaurants and shops with it, with a leather jacket. Practice with strangers is what I'm saying. So what you are going to do is you are going to say, what are the traits of the person that I admire that I want to become? Motorcycle driver. Well, let's use external stuff. Well, he has a leather jacket and a helmet. Well, I can't afford a bike yet, but let me go get a leather jacket and a helmet. You drive a minivan. Okay, get a helmet and a jacket. Just park in the back. Don't let anybody see you get in your minivan. But walk in the store with that. Let strangers see that. And what happens is there's an energy that's being created here. You're creating a snowball effect. It's a feedback loop. I'm was it motorcycle rider? People see me as a motorcycle rider, and that feeds back, and then your brain goes, "Oh, I guess I am a motorcycle rider," and then it leads you to the fulfillment of that. God leads you from within. So, the great thing about practicing your ideal self, your admirable self, your hero self, your legend self, is that strangers don't know who you are. So you can show them anybody. You can just be whoever you want. And they'll just be like, yep, that's who you are. And you get to feel what that feels like to be that person. So practice with strangers. Any version of you is acceptable to strangers. Okay? I'm sorry. It just is what it is because they don't know any other thing. They don't know anything else about you. And that's why it's good to move sometimes. I moved a trillion times in my life. Of course, that's hyperbole. I haven't moved that many times. But I lived in 20 something places before I was 21 years old. So, and since then, it's probably been about 30 or more places. I stopped in California and stayed there for like 10 years, but more than 10 years. Anyway, So practice with strangers. I digress. Practice with strangers. They don't know who you are. They'll accept you as you are. And I really mean that. And you'll say, well, no, strangers are not going to accept me. Yeah, they are. They have to. They don't know what else you are. If you come and you go, ooh, I think I'm a monkey. Then like, okay, he thinks he's a monkey. Well, that's just the way he is. They don't know anything else about you. Or you can come in and say, hey, I'm the billionaire son of blah, 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 blah. And they'll probably see through your BS or whatever. And they're going to be like, okay, he's crazy. But at least they're going to respond to you from that level. And the more sincere and authentic you are about it, the more natural you are about it, the better it's going to be. The more people are going to get it. And they're going to be like, oh, this guy probably is a billionaire. Huh, the way he walks, the way he carries himself, just do it long enough and people will just pick up on it. Before you know it, you'll be feedback looping yourself and you'll get yourself in there. All right, and then finally, there's a little bit of activity there, but and finally, number 5, you want to implement successful stranger strategies that you use with the strangers on family and friends. And this is going to get into the challenging part because, like I said, you're going to lose friends, you're going to lose family, you're going to lose those people. Not all of them. The people who really are real, they look. The real ones will stay. The rest will go away. If your mom or your dad leaves you because you're being your true self and it's a loving, beautiful thing, and they leave you, good riddance. I'm not even going to apologize for that. Good riddance. The real ones will stay. You got an auntie, you got an uncle, you got a friend, you got a whatever. You got other people you can tap into, okay? And if you don't, God will lead you to those. Trust me. When you become this other person, you will draw onto you all the things that you're seeking and desiring and needing. God will do it for you. You're going to match up with those realities and they'll just show up. So don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. All right. But the 5th step is to put into practice those stranger strategies. So you went out and let's use the motorcycle guy. You went out and you were a motorcycle guy at the grocery store, even though you drive a minivan. All right. And you have the helmet, you have the leather jacket. And so there's a certain personality that comes with motorcycle guys, right? And so you start to implement that because you've been to like 20 grocery stores and people are like, oh, he's a cool motorcycle driver. And they're like, oh, he's so cool or she's so cool. And, whatever. And so you become more and more of this motorcycle person, right? Well, next time that you're at the family reunion or the dinner at the table, whatever, people see they treat you like you're the bike riding, minivan driving person. And they encounter you like, whoa, you're different. Something's different about you. You've got a motorcycle vibe to you. And people will actually say that stuff. They'll actually say that to you. They'll like say the weirdest thing. And you won't even say anything out of your mouth. Like, don't you see my motorcycle vibe? You're not going to say that. But they're going to pick up on that. And they're going to say the weirdest things. You're like, whoa, this is really working. Like I said, this stuff really works. So you got to be careful. All right. So like I said, you're going to get pushback from family and friends because they knew you as something. And then when you aren't that anymore, that challenges their reality. It's going to scare them. It's going to upset them. It's going to hurt them. It really will. But the people who really love you, who really have your back, who really are there with you, are going to be cool about it. They're going to be like, yo, I like this new you. Or I don't understand it. I want to know more, right? Those are the people you keep in your life. Everybody else, good riddance. God bless them. Love them with all your heart. Love God with all your heart and soul and mind. But love them with everything you got. But don't waste time on them because they're going to draw you away from your new identity, your legend identity, your new true identity. Okay? So in conclusion, you can see that personality is fluid. It is flexible. It is a choice. If you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm a loser. I'm not making it. I'm not the guy. I'm not the girl. It's a choice. And we make that choice every day by our thoughts, actions, beliefs, and expectations. Okay? So with these 5 steps, you can become the person that you want to be. And that person is a match to everything you want to be, do, and have. Okay? This person that you are becoming is a match to God's highest purpose for you. And this automatically leads you to the life of your dreams. The life of your dreams is not a life that is free of challenges or free of difficulties, but it is full of joys, challenges, difficulties, fun, pleasure, happiness that matches you. There's nothing worse than living an entire life full of challenges and difficulties that they're not even yours. They don't even belong to you. That's like an elephant getting frustrated because he can't catch gazelle. In his whole life, he's hungry all the time. Only gazelle he can catch are the ones left behind by real lions. And he's like, I'm so hungry. Oh, I'm so hungry. And then he's all the time, he's just salivating every time he sees a tree or whatever elephants eat. That's you. And if you're overweight, I'm not calling you an elephant because I can't see you, but you know what I'm saying, right? You got to be what you are. Lions have challenges that match lions. Elephants have challenges that match elephants. There's a version of you that God's created that is exceptional, powerful, beautiful, amazing, exceptional, chosen. And you have to be that. Don't think that the person is not going to be without some challenges or some difficulty. And the thing is, it's going to be there, but it's not going to be the majority of the time. It's going to be like 1% of the time or 10% or less. But if you're living a life that is not yours and you're somebody that you don't need to be, 900% of your life is pain and suffering and terror and all the time, because you're not the person that God created you to be. Like I said, if you're an elephant and you're trying to hunt like a lion, all you're going to get are the scraps left behind from real lions. Be what you are. If you're an elephant, there's trees all around. Eat those. You get the analogy, right? So, like I said, personality is flexible and fluid. It's a choice that you make. With these 5 steps, you're going to change your life. Be very careful with these guys. Be very careful. Because if you decide to be someone that you were not in the past, you will lose friends, family, lovers, uh, even jobs, things like that. You're just going to lose all that. It's just going to go away. And it can hurt. Okay? I'm not trying to hide this from you. It can hurt. But guess what? A little scratch to a lion is nothing. A little scratch to an ant is death. Okay, so just be what you are. Like, you were made for this. You were made for this shift. Okay. So with that, I'm Dr. Merlin Msai. In 2010, a mystical download was sent to me from the Most High that destroyed my fake old identity. I remembered who I really am. 7 years later, I stepped into what God has for me. This was a challenging process, but God allowed me to create the space where He speaks to His children. So I've never really looked back. It's been a wonderful journey. It's full of challenges, but I've become the amazing person that I love. I love seeing who I am. I love looking in the mirror, and I like what I see. So this stuff is not for gummy worms. It's not for fake light workers. It's not for crybabies who are scared of the dark. Okay? This is for apex humans, those who are born to crush fear, transmute the shadow, turn it into the gold of light of God's glory, the gold of God's glory, and to rebuild God's heavenly empire here on earth with beauty, with power, with flow. If that is you, welcome home. Stay apex. Thanks for watching. Drop a like before I close out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.